Today is Tuesday, that means it's time for another 2-minute tutorial. And today I'm going to go back to my roots and show you how to paint some nice pallid Drukhari skin. What's up guys, and welcome back for a Tutorial Tuesday. Now, as I've mentioned earlier, today I'm going to go back to my roots and we're going to do a little bit of work on the Eldari. Now, ever since I first got into the hobby when I was about 12 or 13, I've always been an Eldari fan, or, as it has been prior to that, an Eldar fan. Now, before the release of 9th edition, I started up a brand new Drukhari army, as I wasn't overly happy with how I'd painted the previous ones and they didn't really feel kind of dark or piratey enough for me. So with the new codex on its way fairly shortly, I thought what better time to give him a little bit of love. Now my current Drukhari project is very heavily inspired by the old body horror films of David Cronenberg. So for painting these up I needed to get that real lovely, sinister, slightly disgusting vibe. So then when working out a nice flesh colour for these models, I had to go for something nice and pallid and slightly sickly looking just to fit in with the overall theme of the models. Now this method that I've put together is super simple using just Citadel products and it's actually really quick to do. So you can quite easily bash out a horde of witches or warriors in really no time at all. So without further ado, we'll stick 2 minutes down on the clock and let's get to it. So we start off with the Mini having already had its base colours added. As you can see, I've used a nice colour shift paint for the armour panels, something that works so well for the Drukhari aesthetic. As a first step for the skin tone, I'll use some demonette hide. This starts off by putting those lovely purple hues into that skin tone. Make sure you thin it down nicely and don't go too thick on those layers. You don't want to obscure any of that detail. Now we need to start building up the brightness a bit, and to do this I'll add in some pallid witch flesh to the demonette hide. I'll admit that this is probably one of my most hated Citadel paints, as I can find it can often be very chalky and really doesn't have great coverage, but the tone of it fits perfect for what we want here. Using this mix, I'll pick out the raised areas of the face, such as the nose, the forehead and the upper cheeks. Try to think of where the light would naturally catch a little bit more. To push these highlights even further, I'll add a bit more pallid witch flesh into the mix and go again. To finish the layers off, I'll then use pure pallid witch flesh on the very tip of the nose, the top of the cheeks and across the top of the forehead. It's now reading very much as a purple tinted white rather than just purple. To put a little bit more contrast into some of the recesses, I'll take some Drukhari violet and thin it down approximately 50-50 with water. Using a finely tipped brush, I'll then trace this into areas like the eye sockets and the underside of the cheeks, just to bring a little bit more contrast into the shadows. And now, just to finish this face off, I need to add some eyes. Using the pallid witch flesh, I'll add some whites to the eyes, and then a tiny little dot of Corvus black will form the pupil. So there we go, a super easy method to paint some fairly decent pallid Drukhari skin. Now I find that this method works beautifully with my current Drukhari army. Being an army that features a lot of greens and a lot of purples in its colour scheme, this ties in very nicely. And it also works well to differentiate from the normal softer and warmer tones that people use to paint up human or quite often the Craftworld Eldar models. If you've enjoyed this video and got some value out of it, then please hit that like button down below and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you've enjoyed this video and you don't want to miss my future tutorials. And as always guys, remember, if all else fails, spray it black and start again.